Yeah, hi there. Here's tuxocher.com again. Welcome on my video channel. And in this little video, I want to talk a little bit about Adobe's DNG format, which is a discussion which sometimes just pops up, and people ask, why don't we use DNG format? First of all, the Adobe DNG format is an open standard according to Adobe, but so as far as I know, only Leica and DJI with their drones use this format, and some smartphones can use it in a pro mode or something like that, or with open camera raw to generate DNG format. But before we talk about the mentioned advantages in the discussion about DNG, I show you how to generate DNG format files from your original RAW while importing and at a later time. So let's go over to the desktop PC. Okay, here we are in Lightroom. We first go to Library and Edit. Go to Preferences, and here on the file handling you have the settings for DNG format. That is the file extension, if it is regular or in capital mode, the camera raw compatibility, and the setting if you don't want to have a JPEG preview at all, or if you want to have a medium size or a full size. The full size will include a JPEG preview file in the resolution of the camera. Okay, that is all to set here. We'll make a cancel. Now we mark, let's say here, 3 or 4 images, and then we go under Library, and here you got the menu item for converting the images to DNG. Of course, if you want to save space, you want to delete the originals after the conversion is done, then here we got the same settings as we saw in Preferences. Here you can additionally use lossy compression. That will generate really small files, but they are 8-bit only per color, so I don't advise that at all. And like in the Preferences, you can set that the original RAW files will be stored in the DNG file, but that will result in much larger files. Okay, make a cancel here, and then there's a second way, that is right away go into the import dialog, and instead of copying the files to another folder or move them or just add them in location to the catalog, we can here select copy as DNG, and this way you can import your images, your raw files. They are imported into the catalog and right away converted to DNG files. Okay, the main advantages mentioned by the pros which use DNG format. First of all, it's an open standard. Okay, that's true. So every camera manufacturer can implement DNG format in the camera, but the question is why almost every camera manufacturer generates its own format. There might be some special functions or features which are not implemented in the DNG format, so the manufacturers stick to their own format. And last but not least, okay, it's open standard, and I'm not a liar, but just imagine if all camera manufacturers will switch to DNG format. Would Adobe really go the way to allow the use of this format license free? Question mark. The next advantage mentioned by Adobe is the ability to load and process the DNG format files a little bit faster. This is probably done to split up the DNG format in different chunks, which then can be handled over to the different cores of the CPU. It might, in theory, be a little bit faster, but if we just could measure the difference resulting from the original RAW file and a DNG file, I guess we talk about milliseconds, and I just doubt if you have an advantage if you consider that you have a time to convert all the RAW files to the DNG format. The next advantage mentioned by Adobe is smaller files. Okay, if you forget about the lossy DNG conversion, which generates a 8-bit DNG file only, and just check out the DNG conversion with lossless DNG files, there is some lost in space. You might save a little bit of this space, but that is mainly done by extracting the thumbnail, which is placed in the original RAW file, and downsize it a lot. For example, my Canon 60 Mark II generates RAW files around 38-39 megabyte every file. And if you convert this image to a DNG format and choose preview in the middle size, the thumbnail is reduced from the original resolution down to a thumbnail with the longest edge around 1024 pixels. That is not really usable. And if you choose DNG conversion with a full-size thumbnail, the advantage or in comparison between the original RAW file and the resulting DNG file is only 1.5, maybe 2 megabytes per image. And if you consider the cost of hard disks today, which are around 25-27 euros per terabyte, I don't think that makes much sense. Even if you take, like, let's say 30,000 pictures a year and convert them all to DNG, if you calculate the cost for this or the cost saving for this, you are around €1.50 or maybe €2 in terms of saving disk space. And even if you twice or multiply this savings with 3 because you have consider backups, then you are around 4, 5, 6 euros, and so that to me doesn't make much sense. The next advantage is, according to Adobe, that they integrated integrity check in Adobe Lightroom, so you can check all the DNG files if they are original. And maybe you have the situation that a bit flips when you're saving the file. That occurs sometimes. It's pretty seldom, but it does occur. And with that way you could check this and maybe get your original file from the backup. But another question is, if Adobe implements integrity check, why don't they do that for all files? And last but not least, integrity check must be generated by the backup, so you can be sure that your backup contains the files in the original size, resolution, and all data within it. The last advantage mentioned is that you don't need XMP sidecar files if you share original RAW files. Okay, that is true, but on amateur side, would you share your original RAW files? Maybe that's necessary only for professional photographers. There might make a little bit sense, but even adding an additional XMP file to the share wouldn't make it much difference. And last but not least, if you share a DNG or original RAW with the XMP sidecar file, this only works in the Adobe environment, because only Adobe knows if you place the saturation on +10, how to display this. And while we're talking about different RAW converters, some other RAW converters seem to have sometimes problems with the DNG format, so it's not that open standard as Adobe says it is. Another thing mentioned sometimes in using DNG format is that you could use your old Lightroom version. The last one without the subscription model was 6.14, I think. You just take the newest RAW converter from Adobe and use Lightroom 6.14, even with cameras that are not supported by this version. You can do this, okay, but I don't think it does make that much sense. If you consider you buy a new camera for a couple €100 or even more, you should have at least the €12 per month to get yourself the newest RAW converter. And if you don't like the subscription model, that's okay. That might be a point, but then I think you should get yourself in testing other RAW converters fitting to your RAW workflow better than Lightroom. Okay, there is, in my eyes, another disadvantage using DNG file, and that is backup. Because every change, even a new keyword, or if you just change any of the development parameters just a little bit, the whole DNG file with 25, 28 or 30 megabytes has to be written to the backup. And if we're talking about flipping bits, so that is now no alternative to me using DNG files. Okay, that was my standpoint to DNG files. I don't use them anymore. I did use them in the earlier days with the time-lapse photography, where one time-lapse consisting of 1,000 or even more images I converted to DNG format after I generated the time-lapse video, but I even don't do this anymore and keep the original RAW files. Okay, if you have any questions to the DNG format, you place them in the comments and I will try to answer them, or you place them in the comments to the corresponding blog post. And I hope you like this video. Place a like on the video, and I would appreciate if you would subscribe my channel, and don't forget to press the notify button so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, that was all for today, so I have to say till the next time, ciao, Tux Oche.